Welcome to the channel. In this guide, I'm going to be giving you all an update to the Atlas build. The main thing that we've changed is just the gear that we're wearing. So with the winter festival patch, basically gear score matters a lot more now, so we're no longer in faction gear, and now we have branched out to include a lot more perks into the build, and you can most definitely feel the difference in terms of your overall survivability. So without further ado, let's get into it. The main thing that you want to know, or the main takeaway from this entire video, is you want as many pieces of resilience as possible. 5 pieces max, 4 pieces minimum. So any other trait or any other perk that I described, I would not switch that out for resilience except for leeching Path of Destiny. And this is the second most valuable perk that's going to be available to us with this build, and basically it's going to serve as your major heal. With this now, you can heal for a lot more, and the more people that you hit, just heals you a lot. Okay, next, so we're wearing basically all resilience on our pieces. For accelerated defined stance, this is not necessarily high on the priority list. I wouldn't switch this out for just resilience alone. If I couldn't find resilience and this, I just wouldn't really use it. And it's good for running away or for repositioning yourself, but not necessarily good for catching people. The animation for defined stance is extremely long, and if you're just chasing somebody, they can run pretty far by the time you finish that animation, and then by the time the haste runs out, you're just slightly closer to them, if that. You want Sundering Shockwave, and this is going to apply rend. The weaker your enemy's defense is, the more damage you can get off, and that will allow you to heal more. I'm just wearing a random foot piece, just with resilience on it, and then Fortifying Shield Rush. So this ability actually stacks on itself the more people that you can actually hit with the move, and I can try and show you that right now. If you look at the bottom of my screen, basically you can see the 4-second fortify and hit them. So now that I hit both of them, you can see there's a 2x on the bottom of the bar, and they won't hit me for nearly as much. So that's Fortifying Shield Rush. It can stack. There's a maximum Fortify bonus as well, so you won't necessarily pass that maximum with this though. And so for jewelry hasn't really changed. We want max health on this and increased healing, and the Fortify is pretty good. The increase the duration is pretty good. You want max stamina. This will allow you to dodge 3 times with heavy armor. So I can dodge 1, 2, 3 before I get out of stamina. For this, you want regeneration, and regeneration is powerful with your food, especially on Sword and Shield, because you have a bonus to all regeneration, all healing sources. Sword hasn't really changed in terms of things that we have on this. Enchanted is what you want. It's going to allow you to do more damage with light and heavy attacks, which is basically what we do on our sword and board bar. For your hammer, the most important perk for your survivability is going to be Treton Recovery. And this is extremely powerful with this particular build because we use a lot of heavy attacks in our build. And all of our attacks on the Warhammer bar are going to heal us as of right now with the setup that we currently have for the Atlas build. And that's important because now you have all that healing power from the Warhammer, in addition to just you putting out straight DPS. It's also going to heal you, so it's like a full lifesteal build. The only move that won't necessarily heal you is going to be your light attacks, and I'll talk about them shortly. For PvE, we're gonna switch it up a little bit. I assume you will have a healer with you, so what you want is going to be Trident Rend. So I have a hammer that's Rend Shockwave and Trident Rend, and together that's going to apply, I believe, the maximum Rend that you can get, or close to the maximum, so no need to add Armor Breaker to your moveset now for PvE. And then just a random sword I have as well. And that sums it up for gear in terms of like what I'm using for food. It's just going to be this attribute food over here. Okay, for attributes, basically this is my sword and shield bar, and we want 250 con and 200 strength perk. And when I switch weapons, let's see. On our hammer we have at least 250 con so that we can keep that damage reduction going. And that's for that. I tried the 250 con, 250 strength, 200 con because this perk in itself is not all that useful, but I noticed the decrease in health in terms of my overall survivability. And so my general motto is if you can keep people fighting enough or fighting long enough, then chances are you just need to make a couple of mistakes and you'll be able to take them out. So I always prefer to go on the tank gear side and just keep the fight going for as long as possible until someone slips up and I can get a good combo on them and finish them off. Let's go into the moves. So, sword and shield bar, nothing has really changed here from our initial Atlas build, really, besides getting Invigorating Bulwark versus defensive formation. So we started playing solo a lot more now, and this doesn't really help us when we're just fighting alone, so it's as if we're wasting the skill point here. In team battles and in PvE, extremely useful, but not necessarily for PvP tanking. Instead, this will give us, Invigorating Bulwark will give us some more stamina as we fight. Hammer, nothing really big changed with this. Leeching Path of Destiny is a lot weaker than it used to be in terms of its overall utility. Its stagger is not nearly as powerful after the nerf that they did to it with the hit stun stuff. I won't talk too much about that. I mean, it doesn't really change our gameplay altogether because we're using it mainly for the heal. Now that we have that perk, it's going to heal us for a lot more now if we can get multiple people to hit. This perk for the stagger, if there was a way that I could bypass it and get this perk, then I would have, because the stagger, as I said before, doesn't really, it's not really that long. It's not too significant. And so everything else is the same. We now added the reduced Warhammer cooldowns on light attacks. So faction gear had reduced overall cooldowns, and so without that, we wanted to add this, and so this will kind of take that into account and make your cooldowns a lot faster. And the major thing with not going down this path and why you don't want this, or why this is not too useful, is because after you hit Aftershock, you're guaranteed a light attack. And clear out procs the Aftershock effect, so that means your light attack is going to cause a 7% cooldown reduction once you hit them. So it's kind of guaranteed. So by doing this, you get the light attack, you get the 7%. And that pretty much sums up for the Warhammer. Nothing's really changed. Everything here is going to heal us. Like I said previously, it's all going to heal us in addition to our heavy attacks. So a lot of sustain, a lot of life steal, and the more people you have on top of you, the bigger the heal that you can get. So it improves our survivability in a 1vx scenario compared to before. I believe that sums it up for the major changes of the Atlas build. Combat's still the same, fighting style is still the same. We kind of go in front lines and our main purpose is to just fight. That's all we do.